Laser sights will make you a more accurate and confident shooter by providing visual feedback on sight alignment and trigger control. Crimson Trace, making laser sight standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
Hey, welcome back to Gun Talk. This is a reloaded version. We picked some selects for you for the holidays. Hey, welcome back to Gun Talk. Tom Gresham here. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial Tom Talk Gun. I'll give it out. Tom at guntalk.com. Email if you want to shoot a note over there. I've spent a fair amount of the last 30 years documenting how the gun ban industry, as I have come to call it, persuades people to their point of view. And also getting us to use more effective terms and words and tactics and techniques, basically being smarter rather than just trotting out bumper sticker slogans. It's about being persuasive, and it's about understanding the medium of being persuasive and how it works. And occasionally you run into somebody who really gets it. And our next guest absolutely does. Dan Walsh has written this pretty great book. I'm reading it right now, Good Gun, Bad Guy, Behind the Lies of the Anti-Gun Radical. He says he was an anti-gunner. Now he is a pro-gunner. Joins us right now. Dan, welcome to Gun Talk.
Hey, Tom, thanks for having me on your show. I've been looking forward to this because you, too, get it. And it's important. And I love listening to you talk about this stuff because not many people are talking about you have a good insight into the mind of the anti-gunner.
Well, first of all, I got to ask you, were you really anti-gun? And if so, how did you get from that to where you are now?
I'll keep it real quick. My father took me hunting and target shooting, so I knew guns when I was a kid, and that was my saving grace because when I got into my 20s after my father died, I started hanging with the wrong crowd, and I started to go anti-gun. Just by surrounding myself with the people, like we talk about this stuff, we talk about the propaganda, the people, the conversations you're surrounding yourself with, and you can easily go that route. Luckily for me, I knew that guns weren't these dangerous things that everybody was talking about, right. And then I had a situation in my life where I realized that what am I doing? Am I crazy here? Disavowing guns, something that can protect me and my family. So that was the turning point, and then, as I started to really dig in, I started to understand the propaganda and their marketing strategies, and it's really amazing, and it's pretty smart on the anti-gunner side of the conversation. They're pretty good.
They really are. Now, you say something in here. You say that the gun control argument and their whole movement is corrupt. You talk about corruption there. What do you mean by that?
Well, the whole concept of gun violence. Let's just take that one term that they use. Sure. It's based on a lie. There's no such thing as gun violence. There is a thing called human violence, which is what we really should be focusing on. The gun is just the effect. Let's talk about the cause. Let's talk about what's and I'll get to the corruption point in a second here. But let's talk about what's at the cause of human violence. If we were to talk about that, Tom, we'd be forced to talk about gang violence, drugs in this country, whether they be illegal or legal. We'd have to talk about illegal immigration. We'd have to talk about radical religions coming here to our country to kill us. And we'd have to talk about all this stuff that would shine a bad light on the liberal, progressive Democrat policies. Mm-hmm. That's where the corruption is. They're trying to vilify guns and demonize gun owners in support of causes that are basically anti-American.
Well, yeah, and they do two things. You're right. They marginalize, demonize, ridicule those of us on the gun side, but they also do an interesting thing, and you, in your chapter, Sit at the Popular Table, you basically say, look, what they say is if you agree with our views, you can join us at the popular table. If you don't, we will ridicule, punish, and destroy you. We see that particularly among the elites who live in their echo chambers where and you actually kind of alluded to that, when you were hanging with the wrong people, that was going to be how you fit in, was to buy into that lie. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. And you have two different sets. There's two sets of anti-gunners, and I make that point in the book. You have the anti-gunners, the ones that want to sit at the popular table, and you have the anti-Second Amendment radicals, the ones who host the popular table. They're the ones pulling the strings. They're the ones creating the environment. And the people who want to sit at that popular table are usually want to sit there because they can't stand on their own. They don't have their own sense of independence, and they can't always make their own decisions on this stuff. They want to go where they're accepted and where they feel welcomed. And that popular table, that's a great place to do it.
Let me bounce something off of you. I have said for many, many years that generally, and this is a big generalization, but generally speaking, folks on the right, gun owners, I'm speaking specifically, and one of the ways that they're very different from folks on the left is that folks on the left, in my experience, seek validation for their ideas. It's why they are so easy to get together in groups and organizations, whereas those on the right don't really care. We're comfortable in our ideas. We don't feel like we need to join a group to validate what we think, and therefore it's much more difficult to organize a bunch of gun owners or people on the right. And it sounds like that idea I came up with many years ago is kind of a little bit maybe what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think what it comes down to, I put a lot of thought into this, and exactly what you're talking about. I think it comes down to first of all, an understanding of how important personal responsibility is, number one, and self-esteem. When you take responsibility for your life, you generally have a higher level of self-esteem. You can stand on your own, you can make your own choices, and you're willing to be held accountable for your failures. It's not like that on the left. It doesn't seem to be like that. It seems to be the blame is always being pushed off onto someone else. There seems to be a lack of esteem on the left, where there's a stronger sense of self-esteem and personal responsibility on the right.
One of the things you talk about is not by this term, but I call it the presumptive sale. In sales, you just work with the idea that we're going to get the sale. Now we're just talking about the details. But like when they're doing poll questions or they're asking somebody a question, they say, well, since guns are dangerous, and then they ask the question, it's like we've already thrown out the presumption, which is, of course, the thing you should be talking about in the first place, but they give that away. And if you don't buy into it, it's almost like you don't even get a chance to call BS on the first part of the question.
And you want to know why? Because our brains are problem-solving devices. When you presumptively ask that, or you give that presumption in the beginning, because guns are dangerous, don't you think we should blah, blah, blah? Okay, well, your brain is already working on trying to answer the question, because that's what our brains do. We want to solve the problem. Just like so what they'll do is they'll sneak that in there. So you're solving a problem, answering a question that fits their narrative.
So we're hardwired to want to help out, to solve the problem, to answer the question, and by the very action of answering the question, we essentially have agreed to the presumption.
Exactly, and that's the trick. That's what they'll do. That's why we're always in defense mode, because we're answering questions exactly the way they want us to answer them. So what I do is I try to break the question down. When they say things like that, because guns are dangerous, don't you think we should blah blah blah? That should be two questions. First of all, you should be asking me, do you think guns are dangerous? And if so, why? Okay, now we can talk about that first part of the question. And my answer would be, of course not. Then let's talk about the other part of the question that you're really trying to...
or something, yeah.
Exactly, all that stuff. So, yeah, it's very tricky, and people don't always see it.
Well, I like the way, and you give us tools in the book, and by the way, the title of the book is Good Gun, Bad Guy, Behind the Lies of the Anti-Gun Radical by Dan Wass, W-O-S. You give us tools because you say, well, rather than that, just throw it back. I'm saying, wait a minute, what if I said, because guns save lives, don't you think that everyone should be required to have a gun for self-protection? You spin it around the other way, and that, if it's a reporter, if you're being interviewed, that really would throw them a curveball.
Yeah, well, it's really using their own strategies on them, and these are marketing strategies. These are very common. Businesses and companies use these things in television commercials, and insurance companies are the greatest at this because they'll show you, they'll make you scared. This tree could fall on your neighbor's car. Well, it could fall on your car too, so you need to get this insurance. But that's what they do. They'll use fear. They'll use little tricks, and they'll use all sorts of stuff to keep the conversation in their realm, in their ballpark, in their narrative.
Okay, so wrap it up for us. What do gun owners need to know? What do they need to do to fight this false narrative and the techniques and tactics here?
Well, it's not something I could put in a bullet point, but I would say understand the anti-gunners. That's the first step. Understanding how they think, understanding their strategies. Understand that there's not only anti-gunners, there's anti-gunners, and there's anti-Second Amendment radicals who are actually creating the environment. Understanding those, and actually it's the anti-gunners who are getting manipulated by the anti-Second radicals. That's the tricky part. Because most people say, well, some people like guns, some people don't. What's the big deal? No. It's more complicated than that.
Well, and of course, it is more complicated than that. And you go into a good bit of that in your book. I would recommend it to people. It's called Good Gun, Bad Guy. How do people get a copy of the book?
Go to goodgunbadguy.net or .com. That's goodgunbadguy.net, or just search it out on Amazon.
Very good. Dan Wass, thank you so much. The book, I really enjoyed it.
Anytime, Tom. Thank you.
All right, you take care. 866-TALK-GUN. Back.
There's only one place where you can buy that firearm you've always wanted and turn it into your very own. That place is Brownells.com. Now offering a huge selection of firearms from all your favorite brands. Brownells is the spot to buy online. When you're choosing your gun, be sure to look over the enormous selection of parts, accessories, ammo, and more to make that firearm your masterpiece. Brownells.com. Serious about firearms.
This land, once wild and free, fades now from our memory. But I remember what it was like, what we were like, what we are capable of when we band together. Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. These natural wonders are where waterfowl begin their cycle of life, where the deer and the antelope play, and where we, the people, gather together to see and share what makes the outdoors so great. The time is now to band together with organizations like Ducks Unlimited. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
Nosler has been a leader in bullets and ammunition for decades and keeps growing with new product introductions that follow this tradition. Accurate, highly effective bullets and ammo for long-range shooting, precision rifle competition, and big game hunting. To be the first to hear about new product releases and promotions, follow Nosler on Facebook and Instagram and become part of the conversation. You won't settle, and neither will we. Nosler.com.
It's interesting to see the response, the reaction to the shooting, the church shooting in Texas. A lot of people, Dianne Feinstein said, well, we just have to get rid of guns. We have to clamp down on guns. And, of course, a lot of us look at that and go, wait a minute. The bad guys are going to do what the bad guys are going to do, but in this case, a good guy had an AR-15, supposedly an evil military-style assault weapon, except it's just a rifle. It doesn't do anything any other rifle doesn't do. And he used it effectively to stop the attack, to save lives. And so our takeaway, my takeaway at least, is this is a good thing. We should encourage more people to have guns and use them effectively to save lives. Saving lives is good. Interesting. There were different reactions. And I predicted a lot of people are going to go out and get their carry permits as a result of this, and they are. A lot of people are getting training. Our daughter-in-law and a group of her friends went to a one-day training class yesterday with the folks from VATA, V-A-T-A. Look up vatatrainingcenter.com. Good instructors. And some of them were a little frightened. Some of them were uneasy. Some of them were not at ease with firearms. And at the end of the day, this is what good instruction will do for you. At the end of the day, they're shooting. They have confidence. They're hitting their targets. They know their guns. They understand the mindset. And they're wanting to do more, which I think is very interesting. And yeah, they're different from the guys. They've got pink grip inserts and bling and everything else, and they're having a ball out there and they're shooting. But they decided to take control. They decided to be responsible for their own safety. And here's the thing. Knowledge conquers fear, because so often fear is simply a manifestation of the unknown. You fear the unknown. When if you're afraid of the dark, turn on the light. When you turn on the light, there's nothing to be afraid of. If you're afraid of guns, go learn about guns. Learn how to take them apart. Learn how to shoot them. Learn how to load them. Learn what they're about. Know how to use one. You won't be afraid of them anymore. Now, you may choose not to carry, personal choice, but you won't be afraid. And being afraid is one of the worst feelings in the world. Why would anybody say, I'm going to go through life afraid? That's terrible. What a terrible feeling that is, to go through life afraid. I don't know. But I am encouraged. Good on them. There's a bunch of young women, a lot of mothers, took the day off, went and got some serious training. And there are trainers all over the country now, good trainers all over the country. And yes, if you can get to Gunsight or Thunder Ranch or Tiger McKee's place, Shoot Right, or SIG Academy or VATA, those are all great. But there are good trainers everywhere. Look for them. Look for the ones who have real experience and also who are good teachers. Because, it's one thing to be a cop or special forces dude. It's another thing to know how to teach. Some do, some don't. Ask around. Ask people how it was. How did the class go? Also find somebody who kind of matches up with your makeup. If you're not somebody who likes to be yelled at, you don't want to go to a place that runs itself like a militaristic deal, like a drill instructor. Frankly, I think any trainer who does that now is dooming his business, because a lot of people do not want to put up with that. But good on them. A ton of people are going to make a commitment to carry. If you're one of those, let me just also ask you to make a commitment to getting serious, real training from people like this, and also to practice all the time. I would say once a month you ought to be out practicing at least. Once a week would be much better, but realistically, take one Saturday a month and don't play golf. Don't go fishing. Don't do whatever that other thing is that you do. And I'm going to go out and shoot. I'm going to go out with my buddies. I'm going to go out and get some training. I'm going to get into competition. I'm going to shoot 3-gun. I'm going to shoot action pistol. I'm going to just simply become better at all this stuff. Make a commitment to get there. Let's go down to line 4. Meet with Douglas here out of Reno, Nevada. Douglas, you're on Gun Talk.
Thank you. Yes, I want to shoot a hole in this theory that the more guns there are, the more people die from guns. There are two countries, Venezuela and Switzerland. Venezuela, it's absolutely against the law for a person to own a gun. They have the highest homicide rate in the world. Switzerland, both countries are about the same size, same population. About Switzerland, It is a law, Swiss law. You have to own a gun. They have the lowest homicide rate in the world. It's a fact that the left will never talk about.
No, they don't. Well, what they do is they pick and choose. They'll say, well, you know, we have the lowest. And the thing is, the thing that gets me, Douglas, is they won't talk about murder rates. They'll talk about gun crime rates or gun murder rates. Well, hello, do you think somebody who got murdered cared what the tool was? And exactly. Nobody's talking about the fact that, and this is pure fact, and I appreciate the call. Thank you, Douglas. This is one you need to have in your pocket and be able to pull out at any given time. Here's your fact, okay? When people start talking about assault weapon, first of all, that's a term that does not have a definition. Therefore, and this is by design, therefore it can be infinitely expandable, as we see this week when Dianne Feinstein brings out her latest so-called assault weapons ban. Gee, it expanded to include semi-automatic pistols. Huh. Who could have seen that coming? Everyone. Everyone. Because it's a term without a definition. All right, but here's your factoid to pull out. Not according to the NRA, but according to the FBI, in the United States, more people are murdered with fists and feet than they are with rifles. And semi-automatic firearms, rifles, are a subset. They may make up the largest percentage, certainly, I'm sure they do. But more people are killed with fist and feet than they are with all rifles combined. So for those who want to say, well, we must do something about murder, so therefore we're going to ban the guns that are hardly ever used for murder. And of course, they're basing this on the high-profile shootings, ignoring the Chicago-style stuff that goes on every day in the gun ban nirvana of Chicago, the kumbaya land of we will put every blockade we can in front of legal gun ownership. Doesn't affect crime, okay? More people kill with fist and feet than with rifles, including all of these so-called assault weapons. And they say, well, that can't be true. I said, well, I'm sorry, but it actually is. Well, that's just an NRA. No. This is the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, from the Uniform Crime Reports. People say, well, show it to me. No, you go get the Uniform Crime Reports. You can get it, and you can look it up. It's a fact. Or you can Google it, and you can look it up. But there it is. That's one good way to shut down this nonsense conversation. Hey, welcome back to Gun Talk. This is a reloaded version. We picked some selects for you for the holidays. Hey, if you stay in your house all the time and never leave, don't pay anything to this. If you ever leave your house, though, even if you go to work or you take trips, you want to know what's going on back at your house. You want an alert. If there's somebody prowling around outside or somebody poking around and swiping your packages. This is that time of year where you get a lot of packages left at the front door. How'd you like to have video of that? Or maybe even an alert when somebody's out there. You could set up the blink cameras. I've been talking about those for a while. These things are slick as they can be. Once you set them up, and it takes like 5 minutes, I just plug them in. I don't leave them on all the time. It's just my thing. When I'm at the house, I don't want alerts. But I turn them off when I'm there. Well, the ones inside, because I have them inside also. Because if somebody gets in the house, I want an alert on that. But when I'm away, I've got them turned on, away being like at the office. They're just slick. They work. You get an alert on your phone, and you can watch real-time video there. You can record video. You can find out what's going on. You know if there's somebody in your house or for somebody around your house, the front door, depending on where you put the cameras. It's just slick. It's called Blink. And the guys there are pretty sharp. They're telling me that they sell 3 of their cameras for 1 of what the other guys charge, or what they charge for only 1 camera, the other guys. But here's the deal. You get a special 10% off with the Gun Talk code. If you go to blinkprotect.com/guntalk, again, blinkprotect.com/guntalk, there'll be a discount field at the end. Put Gun Talk, one word, doesn't matter, uppercase, lowercase, doesn't matter, just one word, Gun Talk, and you get an extra 10% off. That's blinkprotect.com/Gun Talk. All right, let's go all the way up to line 3. Jesse's with us out of Texarkana, Texas. Hey, Jesse, thank you for holding. You're on Gun Talk.
Yes, sir. I'd like to tell you, suggest a few things that have changed besides back whenever there were just guns and people.
Okay.
Video games. Our kids watch video games that has blood in them.
Yes.
Mind-altering drugs.
Uh-huh.
I think if you'll check, all of these mass shooters were on them.
And a lot of them were on these drugs that they give people for ADD, ADHD, all this other stuff. They give them these are prescribed drugs. A lot of them are prescribed drugs.
Correct, yeah.
We're not talking about street drugs here. We're talking about prescribed drugs, yeah.
Right, yeah, the drugs that doctors have put people on that they don't need.
Mm-hmm, okay. What else?
And they done something with our mental institutions.
Yes.
I know you have probably heard the term, if you don't behave, I'm going to send you to such and such. I know in Texas it's Terrell. It used to be Terrell. In Arkansas it was Benton, and I can't remember what it was in Louisiana.
Or in New York it's Bellevue, but now they don't do that anymore because it's pretty difficult to involuntarily commit somebody. They have to put themselves in, and if they're having the problems, they don't want to put themselves in.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
One other thing is our movies. The movies is nothing but killings.
Shoot 'em up, body counts, the whole deal. John Wick 2, how many more explosions can we have? I'm with you. And for those who are saying, oh, yeah, that doesn't really affect anything, of course it does. If it didn't affect people, advertising wouldn't get people to buy product. Of course it does. And thank you for the call. Colonel Dave Grossman talks about this. He says you have to desensitize soldiers so they will, in fact, shoot people. Because generally speaking, people do not want to shoot other people, but they can use video and video games to desensitize them to the point where they can just go in and do what they're told to do, follow their orders. It's a fascinating study. Douglas is on 4 out of Reno, Nevada. Douglas, more guns? Oh, I tell you what, let's drop down to Dave. We got Brian on 1. Let's go to Brian in Kearney. Is it Kearney or Kearney, Brian? Kearney. Okay, Kearney, Nebraska.
Like Carnival, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Shooting times, July has a 45 ACP load using Ramshot Enforcer, and they're pushing Hornady 230 grain jacketed bullets to 1,040 feet per second.
Wow.
And they're staying down around 19,000 PSI. The SAMI limit is 21, so they're still way under the limit.
Okay.
And this fellow's name is Brad Miller, got a PhD after it. Uses Magnum primers. And now he said even though you're under the pressure, the slide is going to slam back harder.
Yep.
So he uses a EGW 3-port compensator.
Okay.
But he said you could use a heavier recoil spring. Now, is 18 pounds the industry standard on a 45?
I believe that's right. But let me ask you, the question is, what are you asking me? What are you looking for from me?
The recoil, he said use a heavier spring if you don't have a compensator, but he doesn't say how much heavier. How much? I guess I could go to
I can tell you where to go to find out. Brownells.com, BROWNELLS. They have a whole team of gunsmiths on staff there. And if you give them a holler, I'm going to get you a phone number here in just a second here. If you give them a holler, you can actually talk with one of their, 800-741. Let's see. That would be interesting if they could have the whole phone number there. I love websites. It's blocked out. I'll have to minimize the screen. Now I can't see it. All right, just go to brownells.com. You can get the information there. If you call them and say, look, this is what I want to do. Here's the thing. They have the springs. And just buy the spring from them and just say, this is what I'm doing and what weight spring do I need? And they will be able to help you out. But yeah, man, that's high velocity for a 230 grain bullet, and I'm glad he mentioned slide velocity because a lot of people don't think about that, because you can beat your gun to death doing that. 866 Talk Gun. I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk.
It's really pretty simple. Your carry gun is a life-saving device. It must be with you. That's what the Springfield Armory XDS is all about. Small enough to carry, big enough to shoot comfortably, shockingly slim, single stack, with a 3.3-inch or 4-inch barrel, available in 9, 40, or 45. Highly accurate, great trigger, fiber optic front sight for fast aimed fire. The XDS at springfield-armory.com. That's springfield-armory.com.
Hi, this is Tom Gresham from Gun Talk. America is losing critical wildlife habitat at a rate of 1 football field every hour. It's happening on the Louisiana coast, but it's critical to all sportsmen and conservationists. These precious wetlands provide winter habitat for more than 10 million ducks and geese annually, waterfowl that migrate north through dozens of states. Don't shrug it off. Get involved. You can help. Visit vanishingparadise.org.
Responsible owners control access to their firearms, even when they may need them in a hurry. Liberty Safe, the nation's leader in gun safes, offers 6 models of handgun vaults. Strong, simple to use, open with a key or fingerprint. Put your handgun in the compact vault, lock it away until you need it. Then it's in your hand almost instantly. Pick the Liberty Safe handgun vault that's right for you. LibertySafeHD.com.
If you carry a gun, you need training. Your concealed carry class was definitely not training. But time, money, and obligations keep you from spending days at a shooting school. The trusted folks at Gun Talk can help. Concealed Carry 1, our DVD featuring the VADA Group, covers what gun, what holster, how to carry, where to wear your gun, and much more. Visit shopguntalk.com. That's shopguntalk.com. Look, this really is life and death. Learn how to stay aware, how to get away, and how to fight if you must. At shopguntalk.com, you can get the 2 DVD set, including Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. No matter what gun you carry, this vital training info can save your life. Learn the draw, the stance, reloading, vital gear from Gun Talk. That's shopguntalk.com. shopguntalk.com.
Why do hunters and shooters love the Ruger American rifle? With right-handed and left-handed versions, all-weather, Magnum, Compact, Predator, Ranch, and Scope package options, there's a Ruger American for everyone. Lightweight with an adjustable trigger and minute of angle accuracy, Ruger American rifles pack in the features. Is the Ruger American the best rifle on the market? See for yourself at your local retailer or at Ruger.com. That's Ruger.com.
Gun shows. Let's talk about them. Ray is on line 3 out of Minden, Nevada. Ray went to a gun show. What'd you find there?
Well, I found a lot of hostility there, Tom.
How's that?
Well, I'd like to get your opinion on this, too. Well, as you walk in the door of the casino, it's usually held at the Grand Sierra Resort Casino in Reno, and I've been going there for 20 years. And there's a big sign when you walk in the door, no firearms allowed, no CCWs. So I go into the, the paid to go into the gun show, and they have wands at the entrances. And they're looking, metal detectors like they do at the airport. And they're searching your bags, and they pat you down. And once you're in there, I was talking to some of the vendors, and they're angry as heck because they put these rules on their desk as soon as after they set up. But when you leave, if you buy a gun there, you have to be escorted out another exit, a separate exit. And they wrap your gun up and tie it up for you. And then if you buy ammo, you can't go out with your gun and ammo. You have to go out a separate exit for the ammo, too. And they tie that up, and they escort you out there for the ammo. So you have to make 2 separate trips. And then the hotel they will not let you have a gun in your room. So what happens to all these people that rented a hotel room for this event? If they buy a gun, they can't bring it in the room. Everybody was really upset about this, so I'd kind of like your take on it.
Is this a change from last year?
Absolutely. There was a show in August. They have them about 3 times a year, and it was
same location. Same location.
They've had it there for 20 years.
Did anybody tell you why they made the change?
Extra security, and then they had a uniformed sheriff and Reno PD walking all through there. Well, you think that would have been enough? Besides,
well, now let me ask you, why do you think they did it?
Well, I think they're overreacting to the other shooting, but they treated us, the gun owners, like we're common criminals. Well,
let me throw out another possibility for you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea how many times at gun shows people have cranked off a round?
Not very often, is it?
No, it's actually a lot.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's a lot. Some jackass pulls out his concealed carry gun. I got one just like that. Let me see if this thing will work in that holster. Bang.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after a while, you're the people who are holding this, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying this is what's going on. You're the people who are holding this event. And you already had 1 or 2 instances of a round going off, and maybe somebody got hit, maybe somebody didn't get hit. But it's like it happens frequently because there are jackasses everywhere who are not careful.
Absolutely.
And they're going, well, we really, really hate to do this, but I don't know. And so I'm guessing what I'm doing is I put myself in their place. I'm thinking, what would I do?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to sound bad. I would probably do what they're doing. Because I've been to the shooting range and I've seen stuff. You have too. and you're going, yeah, but I'm safe. Yes, I know. But how about that guy next to you? How about that guy down the row? He's the guy who's saying, yeah, I got me one of those, and pulls it out, and here we go. I don't like it, and I don't like being treated that way, and I'm not even sure I would go to a gun show like that. But at the same time, given the reality of what's going on, at the very least, I guess what I can say is I can understand it. Does that help at all with understanding what's going on here?
Well, yeah, there's 2 sides to every story, but, I won't go back. I mean, I don't want to be treated like
I agree.
At the airport,
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, like I said, I'm not sure I would go to a show like that. But, man, if you're the guy who's putting on the show and you're saying, well, how am I going to try to increase safety here because we've already had 2 ADs at the show? What are we going to do? Well, that's kind of where you end up. And it's a shame. But once you know what it is? Once again, the problem people make it tough on everybody else. And I just, there it is. I appreciate the call, Ray. I understand that you're mad. I get that. And I would be mad with you right there with you. Let's get into Jerry for line 4. We got just about a minute, Jerry. Talk to me.
Yes, I have an observation that all of these talking heads and politicians that talk gun control, and actually what it is, they are afraid of us. They want to control all of these, all the guns, because they don't want them used on them.
Well, there's certainly an element of that, Jerry, and I appreciate the call. There's also another thing going on there that I see all the time when I talk to people who are wanting to disarm everybody. They say, well, and if you get to talking to them, they'll say, well, I just don't know. I said, if I had a gun, I think if I would just go off. I'm not sure I could trust myself with a gun. And because they know that they are unstable, they project that on the rest of us. And they say, well, if I'm unstable, then you must be unstable. And therefore, if I could not be trusted with a gun, then therefore I don't want to trust you with a gun. And that's their way of basically saying, well, I'm normal because I must be like everybody else, even though I'm a little bit whacked. And it's a weird pathology going on there. But there's an awful lot of it out there. There's an awful lot of undiagnosed mental illness out there. A lot of it on the part of the gun banners. All right, back with you. Yeah, we talk about bear protection all the time. Well, how about a pheasant load in a shotgun? People are going, crazy. They always make fun of me whenever I talk about using birdshot for self-defense. Oh, yeah? A 9-year-old, 300-pound female grizzly bear is dead after attacking 2 pheasant hunters near Pendroy, Montana. The grizzly she was with her 3 cubs. She was bedded down in some willows when the hunters approached. The bear initially charged one of the dogs before turning to attack the hunters. Looks like it's self-defense, says the Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks grizzly bear management specialist. One of the hunters tried to scare the bear off, firing his 12-gauge shotgun into the air. That didn't work. Bear kept coming. Said then he shot the bear twice, once at about 10 feet. Bear turned around, took off. They found the bear dead later, and the cubs were gone. One of the interesting parts about this is this bear is out in the plains. Obviously, they're not hunting pheasants in the middle of the woods, up in the mountains. Bears moving out into the plains. But once again, use what you have and never underestimate what bird loads can do, or a bird load can do out there. John's in Anchorage on line 2. John, you went to Switzerland?
Yeah, and I had a great time, and I was checking out some of their techniques of what they got. And I went into the guy's closet to pull out a guitar he said he had. He had a full auto SIG there. And he said, that's nothing. And we went up to the other guy's house, apartment that was upstairs. He had a mortar, boxes of mortar shells, and everything, and the government pays for it. We went to another one. He had a tank. And the other farmers, these were usually in farming areas, were the crew. The last one was they had a jet aircraft barn backed up into a rock, it's almost vertical rock mountain, and it was actually bomb-proof, and the guy was a pilot.
Yeah, it's a revetment. But what you're telling me is that Switzerland, as we know, does not have a gun crime problem, but they have...
They don't have a jet problem. They don't have a tank problem.
But not only do they have guns, they have full automatic military guns that are kept at home with ammunition, and those people don't go out and kill people.
And when I was there, I asked, hey, have you ever had a problem with these? Has anybody ever misused them? They said no. They've never heard of it. One of the other things they did mention is they do not glorify if there is a problem. They recently, well, I shouldn't say recently, 2 years ago, they had a guy shot somebody with a shotgun. And they made a little story about it, said he was crazy, didn't talk about it. They didn't even use his name.
Yes. Don't use their name. Don't put the information out. Don't encourage the follow-up, the copycats. You're exactly right, John. And look, I appreciate the call. I lay this first at the feet of the shooter, and then very quickly after that at the feet of the media, which glorifies and makes famous almost an anti-hero out of these murderers. We know their names. We know everything about them. We know where they went to school. We know where they served in the military. We know everything about them, and that's what they want. They want to go out in a blaze of glory. They want to take more bodies than anybody else. If they were ignored, the next person wouldn't want to do that because they wouldn't even have heard about the first person. I am firmly convinced of that. But that's not going to happen. So what do you take away from that? Well, you got to take care of yourself. Stephen Williford went and helped out all these people. I wish somebody in that church had a gun and been able to use it. Would he have been able to stop that guy? I don't know. Could have distracted him. Could have distracted him enough for some more people to get out, perhaps. So my thought for you is this. Make the commitment to basically take care of yourself, take care of your family. What does that mean? It means getting training, serious training, real training. Spend money. It's worth it. It's worth it. Put off the purchase of a car for a year. Don't do the remodel of the house for a year. Spend the money on real, serious, life-saving training. Your family is worth it. Hey, join us for the after show. Call us right now, 866-TALK-GUN. That'll get you in. Be safe out there. I'll hear you next week.